Welcome back and thanks for joining me again as we speak about serverless computing in this lesson. Our topic of discussion is AWS Lambda. So we're going to talk about Lambda, the Lambda benefits, and its use cases. So let's go ahead and jump in and speak about Lambda as a serverless computing. Yes, Lambda is considered as serverless computing, and it is the next generation for cloud computing that will be replacing the EC2 instances, for most of it at least. Traditionally, if you had to run some kind of a code, you would need a virtual machine. In AWS, you will need an EC2 instance. That means you got to provide all of those settings like an IP address, put that in your subnet in the VPC, make sure that the security groups are right so people can access it. So that means that you got a lot of things to do just to set that EC2 instance up. With Lambda, you simply have to upload your code. And it just means that you do not have to worry about provisioning or managing those servers. You don't have to patch, you don't have to worry about scaling because all of that just happens in the background. So Lambda consumes your code, executes the code when it is needed, and scales automatically. So Lambda can support several requests a day to thousands per second. And on top of that, as far as cost is concerned, you only pay for what compute time that your code consumes. So there is no charge when the code is not running. Now think about running that code on the EC2 instance, right? We have to keep those servers up and running all the time. You got to take care of the scaling, the backup, and everything that goes with those EC2 instances in infrastructure as a service. With Lambda, when your code is triggered, it starts, it executes, and it stops. And you pay only for the time your code is running. And when there are situations when there is a lot of load on Lambda functions, it's going to scale up automatically based on how many Lambda functions you need at that time. So with Lambda, your code can run for virtually any type of application or backend service with zero administration. Lambda runs your code on the AWS infrastructure, which is highly available, and AWS performs all the admin tasks for you, including the operating system maintenance, server maintenance, capacity planning, scaling, logging of your code, and also monitoring your code. All you gotta do is take your code in one of the supported languages, and the languages that are supported today are Node.js, Java, C Sharp, Ruby, Go, .NET Core, and Python. I'm going to quickly show that to you in the AWS console. So here in the search box, I'll type Lambda and click on it. Look at the tag, run code without thinking about the servers. That's what the tag is. And that's what makes it serverless computing. So as you see, I've got a couple of codes running here. They're all part of the Lambda functions, but I'm going to show you how you create a new function. So you got a couple of options. You can either start from scratch. So if you're a developer and you would like to start your code in one of your favorite platforms, let's say .NET or maybe Python, that will be the option that you'll select. But if you got a blueprint and somebody shared that with you, that's when blueprint comes into picture, and there's a library of blueprints available. The last one is browse serverless app repository. Again, there are a lot of public repositories, and if your team has shared certain Lambda functions with you, they will all be visible here. But for now, I'll go ahead and click on author from scratch. And what I want to show you here is that the number of languages it supports, this has been increasing year on year. So at this time, it supports various versions of Python, there goes Ruby, and there's Java 11 as well, and .NET Core framework supporting C Sharp and PowerShell. But one thing to keep in mind is that you do not have to select the instance type because that's all taken care by Amazon. So all I got to do is create function and it does that for me. So I don't have to worry about the instance type, in which VPC should that go, should I have the security groups and the NACLs connected to it, because Amazon wants us to focus on building our application and just uploading it to AWS Lambda. So Lambda is really a powerful tool that helps developers because they don't have to worry about dealing with the infrastructure. With this, you may be already thinking about the benefits and use cases of Lambda. And one of the biggest benefits is that there are no servers to manage. There is continuous scaling. And as there is demand, it executes more and more functions. And as the demand goes up, Lambda has the capability to execute more and more functions to cater to the needs. As far as pricing is concerned, you are charged based on the number of times your code is triggered And when the code is doing nothing, it is stopped, then you pay nothing. AWS Lambda integrates with most of the AWS services. So when we think about some use cases, think about data processing, file processing, real-time streaming, stream processing, or building a backend like serverless web backend for mobile applications or Internet of Things or IoT, maybe handling some kind of third-party API requests. So that's what Lambda is great for. That being said, I would like to wrap up this session on Lambda. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next lesson.